Fox host Greg Gutfeld said that he is willing to go to war to prevent student loan debt cancellation. Take a look.
College worth it? And here's the other study that says so many of the grads don't work in their fields of study. I don't think that's necessarily the issue. It's the fact that they're getting out with massive amounts of debt.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's worth it, if it's required in life. I mean, college degree is not meant to give you any knowledge. It's a signal that gets you into the club. It's a 6-figure cover charge to get you into the bar of life. It's a virtue signal, and it always has been a virtue signal. So, but now the virtue signal of a BA, bachelor's degree, is not enough. So then it's like, well, this person has a master's. Well, this person has a PhD. You're now in an arms race of degrees, and the hangover is you pay it off later.
That's not how that works. No, people are not in an arms race of degrees. Have you ever talked to a normal person? Have you ever talked to anybody who's actually gotten a degree? No. So look, and by the way, does he believe that college isn't work? I mean, it is work unless you're rich, unless mama or papa have given endowments to the schools. And if that's the case, like for example with Trump, you can just coast through. You don't have to actually do any work. You can show up. You'll never get failed because, well, if you're failed, well, then the person who gave that endowment to the schools is going to be very, very unhappy. How dare you fail my son or your fail son or fail daughter? No, you're just supposed to pass them through, and they're not supposed to do any work. I honestly, I think a lot of the people that, the majority of the people who go through college on legacy admission didn't do any of the work because they didn't have to. They didn't have to. But all right, so now, the question was on this show, well, is it worth college? Well, not at the list price, I would say. Now, the problem is, I mean, there's two different problems here, okay? First, you have the cost of college, which is outrageous and insane. And then secondly, employers don't want to pay people, even with degrees. So now the companies say that they want educated people, but then will offer $12 to $15 an hour. And so there are people out there that have college degrees and they want to do the work. And by the way, going back to the study that was referenced, right? Oh, there's so many people that can't work in their field. That's because the people in the field, the employers, are not paying them enough to be able to handle their student loan debt, as well as offer things like health insurance. And so that's the problem here, okay? And so, look, people have to take out a ton of debt. They get paid a paltry sum for doing so. And then they're basically fucked for the next 30 years. This is not a complicated thing. But apparently for Greg Gutfeld, very, very complicated. Very complicated. But he has a very simple solution. Just join the military.
It would be a shame if we could get people out of this track and say, look, trade schools, the military, there's ways to gain experience in life so you don't end up in 6-7 figures in debt. And by the way, nobody's paying for it. You're paying for it. That's something I would go to war for. Cancel debt? No. And everybody who paid their debts would be on the military on my side.
That's right. I'm with you already.
Yes.
Isn't it kind of ironic that he says he'd be willing to go to war against canceling student debt by forcing you to go to war to pay it back? Just join the military. Just join the military. Now, again, the choices here are trade schools, which are totally fine. Look, I've advocated for trade schools myself, but understand that trade schools aren't free. Yes, are there some employers that will pay for that? Yes, there actually are. But then again, not everybody's built for a trade school. Last time I welded, I set myself on fire. It was not good. I do not recommend it. I'm not a skilled trades kind of guy. And so I think I would be more of a danger to myself and my coworkers if I were to do that for a living. And the other option is join the military. But why is the military an option? Why does it have to be the military? Why should you have to go to somebody else's country who probably doesn't even want us there to be shot at by people for the benefit of a corporation, specifically an oil company. And that's if you just want to learn business or accounting or hospitality management. And again, that's also super ableist, by the way. As some of you are pointing out, hey, what about disabled people? They can't do some of those things either. Are they just not supposed to go to college either? Or are they supposed to drown in student loan debt? So, I mean, there's a lot of things that leaves out. And by the way, remember, he said that a college degree was actually not meant to give you any knowledge. It's a signal for you to get in the club. What club? What club? I'm trying to figure out what fancy club people are trying to get into. It's a 6-figure cover charge to get you to the bar of life. You think it's some sort of party that people are willing to go and get shot at or blown up for? Or to blow up poor people in another part of the world? Why would you have to do that to get an education? Why should anyone have to do that to get an education? Now, I think that if you're a patriotic American and you want to fight for your country, then you should be able to do so. Why would you have to hold out incentives that, and I say incentives, right, that other countries will do for their citizens just by virtue of them being a citizen? But we don't do that here. No, of course not. But again, had anyone there sitting at that table at the 5, did they have to go through any of that to get an education? No. Greg Gutfeld went to UC Berkeley and graduated in 1987. Do you know how much tuition was back in 1987 when he graduated? For an in-state student, it cost $1,346. That's it. Do you know how it is today? How much it is today for 1 year for an in-state resident in school? $11,442. That's for in-state. If you're an out-of-state student, $5,000. And that was, again, way back when. For an out-of-state student. It's even more insane today. Now, the total tuition and living expense budget for an in-state California resident to go to UC Berkeley is $41,528, or at least it was in 2020 and 2021 semester. I mean, that's amazing. Now, but you might say, Jeff, this is unfair because what about inflation? Now, obviously, things have gotten more expensive with time, of course. And yes, inflation, the dollar value. So now, how much would that same college tuition be in today's money? Would it be about $3,406.52? If you take what Greg Gutfeld or his parents paid to get him into college and put it in today's money, it would be $3,406.52 for a year. And how I came by that, by the way, is $1,346 in 1987 is equivalent in purchasing power to $3,406.52 today. That is an increase of over $2,060.52 over 35 years. The dollar had an average inflation rate of 2.69% per year between 1987 and today, producing a cumulative price increase of 153.8%. So, to recap, in case you're a Republican and can't understand math, it was just under $3,500 per year, or it should be, or about $14,000 for a 4-year degree. Right now, it's over $41,000 for a 4-year degree at UC Berkeley, which I do say is more expensive than the average, which is about $7,000 per year. Still, for a 4-year degree, $41,000. That if you made $15 an hour, you only make $30,000 a year. And your 4-year tuition, $41,000. Now, what do we have now? We have massive price hikes in college costs. We have forced people to, who want an education to either pay out through the nose or shoot people in the Middle East. Now, obviously, again, as I mentioned, not everybody's going to make it in the military. Not everybody's good at skilled trades. Not everybody's an able-bodied person. So what are they supposed to do? Do they have to eat this massive amount of debt they can never escape from, even through bankruptcy, thanks to Joe Biden? Because the school counselors pounded, go to college, go to college, go to college, into their heads every day in high school? Because I grew up then. That was what, oh yeah, go to college, you have to go to college, you have to go to college. What are you going to, what college are you going to go to? Every day in high school. Hey, only people who go to college are going to make it. You better figure out what you're going to do for college. So, but here's the thing. This is what people like Greg Gutfeld do not understand. And the thing that galls me the most, they had it so good. And they don't even realize it. They had it so good. They had cheap college. They had union jobs, good pay, okay, fat pensions, benefits. But we don't have that. We don't have that anymore in America. We got Uber. We got Lyft jobs. We got Amazon warehouses. We got a political system that's dominated by corporations that will do everything they can to destroy labor movements as often as they can. Oftentimes with Democratic politicians who are supposed to be the champions of unions ignoring it. So, look, these people are so entitled, so privileged, and they think that we're the ones that are privileged. Oh, you're complaining for no reason. No, go fuck yourself, Greg Gutfeld. Absolutely unfunny hack. Comedian. No, the only thing that's funny is how wrong you are. How about Greg Gutfeld? You go back to school, but instead of touching your millions of dollars that you make from Fox News, lying to people, why don't you go and take out student loans to go and get your English degree? That's his degree. You want to talk about a useless degree? English. He's not even using it. And while you're doing it, you don't get to touch your millions. No, you have to do what average poor people do. Middle class. What the average person does. Work several jobs, bussing tables, bussing your ass to make rent in New York. You think you can do it? While you study for exams and then try to get a job to pay off your loans. You don't get to go back to Fox News. No, when you're done, you see how hard how difficult it is to try to make ends meet. And until you do that, you shut the fuck up. One last thing. The student loans, I'm convinced that student loans are a military recruitment program. And, again, the GI Bill, right? The GI Bill, they do is they dangle money in front of you in order to get you to join up. And sometimes, by the way, you still get screwed over. Let me detail that. According to Pew Research, 27% of undergrad student veterans, the people that are supposed to be covered by the GI Bill, they took out federal or private student loans. This is back in 2015, 2016. In addition, the median amount borrowed by undergrad veterans exceeded the median among their closest counterparts. Other independent students who are not veterans, but also took out student loans. Look at that. You have veterans that are supposed to get free government money to go to college, to get college paid for, are still taking out loans. It's a third of them. The data for the 2015-2016 school year shows that just over half of all undergrad veterans, 52%, enrolled at your used VA education benefits to cover any part of their education. But that just means 48% did not. Now, what's the reason for that? Some veterans might have exhausted their benefits before completing their degrees, meaning the costs, meaning that it doesn't give you a complete full ride. Or some were not able to meet eligibility requirements, which I didn't even know they had In addition, some members actually chose to transfer some or all of their post 9/11 GI benefits to dependents so that their kids don't have to pay so much of this cost. Pew's analysis found that during fiscal year 2016, which roughly corresponds to the 2015-2016 academic year, dependents of veterans or service members accounted for about 17% of the law's beneficiaries. And then there's the other thing, this for-profit schools. That is something that Greg Gutfeld and the brain trust over at Fox News don't talk about. How these for-profit schools that are scams, like the Trump universities, would go and try to entice veterans to use their GI benefits there. Yeah. In fact, according to people who are assisting veterans with student debt, they say that because for-profit schools tend to have higher tuitions than public or nonprofit colleges, veterans who attend them end up needing to borrow money. And not all former service members are made aware that they're actually borrowing money. This is according to Carrie Wolford, president of Veterans Education Success. She said, many of them say the GI will cover everything. And by the way, there's some paperwork that you need to sign. And it turns out the paperwork that they're signing are loans. She said that's one of the many things they lie about. And one veteran who served in the Marines went to one of these for-profit schools, used his GI benefits, and of course, when signing up, they said, quote, oh yeah, no, you'll hear from Chevrolet, Ford, and Dodge. This was to be a mechanic. Yeah, skilled trade. And he said, yes, sign me up. I want to make my kids proud. After he graduated, however, he couldn't even land a job at a local mechanic shop. Here's what he said, quote, nobody would hire me. They would look at my certificate and laugh. And you know what? His GI benefits are gone. He can't use them. They're all exhausted, and he's left with debt. And he has no education. And by the way, that story was published back in 2021. At the time, he had no job. No job at all. Can't get a job. No benefits, no job, nothing for all that time. These are the people that Greg Gutfeld is going to war against to prevent them from getting their student loans canceled. No, you got to pay that. Oh, did you get scammed? Ah, sad day for you. Pay up. Now, fuck you, Greg Gutfeld. Fuck you and your drunk friend Janine Pirro. Oh yeah, I agree with you. Oh yeah, fuck these kids. Screw you, students. You're terrible. I'm gonna laugh at you. No, you're both awful human beings.